He is so big time that I will try to capture him for as long as I can, and I would not let him go. That's it.
The sacrifice comes from self. Really, that's how I see it. Because I work, come home, spend time with my family. Once they're asleep, then I start the convention.
When you meet your old friends and they will
I
give you
promise
some
you, I'll come.
time, they will give you some time. I really appreciate it. Shariq, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
So just you are moving closer. Maybe we'll call this podcast. So this is not a podcast.
I don't want it.
This is nothing.
Okay.
This is me having conversations with my friends who are YM alumni and ICNA people. And I had an idea that I want to pitch to you for the future is that there should be an official ICNA live stream. And then you have these conversations with speakers and people who I invite.
I
I'll
thought
be
there
the
was
host.
some work going on with some podcast stuff that Mustafa was putting together and
I don't know.
a few other guys.
I don't know.
I
But
don't think it ever took off.
yeah, but an official ICNA live stream where we have these conversations and then we pop into a session that's happening live. And then we pop out into a conversation.
What kind of session?
It could be one of the main sessions.
Oh, you're saying while this is the main
The official ICNA live stream, the
Oh,
ICNA
I see.
convention live stream.
I see.
So then you you have these conversations and then you move into like Imam Sohaib Web on stage and then you come out to a conversation and then there's like
kind of like making like
that's how Bitcoin conference is. Like there is an official live stream and in the bazaar of the Bitcoin conference there is in the center of the bazaar there is a very usually a large booth that is the recording studio and people are walking around and then you have guests on and then there's the live stream of the actual sessions that are happening and then you can actually choose in advance which sessions you're going to get people for. It's kind of becomes like a production and I would be happy to be the host because it was my idea and I did it this year. That's basically what I did. I just didn't stream it, I just recorded it live and I brought
honestly,
friends, alumni.
The convention right now is open for innovation.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help with that if I become the live stream guy.
I know you can host it.
Yeah,
but it would require someone to
additional
plan
help.
it,
Additional help.
organize it.
I'll do that.
Set it up.
Yeah. I did it already, and I did it with a hodgepodge system. And this is the remote control on my phone.
Yeah, no.
So imagine if you gave me one person, and I'll budget it out.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
Yeah,
I think that would be good.
Yeah.
We need to do something creative. We need to come.
I'm the one who created secret sessions at ICNA. Yeah, a long time ago because I was part of YM, and people have Subhan derangement syndrome. When Subhan says something, people just don't like it when I see something.
No, I like
it. I know you like it, but like other people have Subhan derangement syndrome. So like
it could be a little out there, but I appreciate it.
I'm persistent
yes,
and passionate.
Yes, you are.
Passion is always a good thing. Passion is always a good thing. And so they didn't assign me anything
for what
that convention. Okay. YM, even though I was like big time YM guy, like head of social media at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do my own thing. And what was my own thing? All the speakers know who I am because I have these relationships with people, and so I would just stop them in the. They gave me a room. I told them, I got an idea. They gave me one of those like admin rooms.
One of the rooms that I give you.
Yeah, but this was worse. This was worse. This was when it was in Hartford. Okay. It wasn't even in the convention center. It was in the hotel across the street. They gave me. Wow. They just gave me a conference room that could fit. That didn't have seats, so people sat on the floor. Yeah. People, if you see the videos from the first secret sessions, they were people sitting on the floor and like Sheikh Abdul Nasir Jangda, Omar Suleiman, Noman Ali Khan, sitting at a table, and I'm just sitting with them, asking them questions, and there's an audience of people sitting on the floor because there was nothing.
It wasn't on the agenda. It was
nothing. It was a secret session.
Word of mouth.
No, the way it was is that I would get the person, and then I would post on Facebook that we have a secret session on this in this room at this time. And whoever showed up got in, and whoever didn't show up didn't get in. And what happened is, over time, people were like, "Yo, I got to spend." I knew how to get the people. So like Yasser Qadi, I got him a bowl of ice cream, and I led him to the room.
Yeah.
And Imam Siraj Wahaj, I just dragged him there.
Brothers and sisters.
And Omar Suleiman, he was a nobody.
New York City is leaving
Right?
now.
And Nomali
If
Khan and
you have
I.
traveled with the bus, go right there.
Okay.
Bus from the New York City is leaving now.
In
Right way. Please. They will leave you. Go to your bus.
Yeah.
5 minutes if you don't go there.
Into the table, there's a
Please
book,
go
the
to the
Bitcoin
bus.
Standard. Give me both the copies. Give him one. This is for you.
What is this?
The Bitcoin Standard. It's written by Saifuddin Amos, who's a Palestinian economist who lives in Lebanon from Ramallah. And this is the preeminent book on Bitcoin. If you type in best-selling book ever on Bitcoin, that's the book.
This is it. I'll check it out, man.
And he's a Palestinian Muslim guy. He's part of Bitcoin Majlis. He's part of Bitcoin Majlis.
He was there. Okay.
He wasn't there, but he's part of Bitcoin Majlis. Shariq Irfan was there by video link. But next year, maybe we get him in person. Maybe we get him in person here. Oh, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about innovation.
Oh, innovation. So it was just like I would just get like Yasser Qadi with ice cream, and it was just me asking
it was a chill
questions.
session, is what it was. Or the speakers,
Which is what this is.
Yeah.
It's just me having a conversation, talking to you, and we record it. Now it's recording. Maybe eventually it's with an audience, and it's just questions. Like these are the things that I'm living with.
It's a good way to engage, especially because we live stream our sessions too, right? So it would be a good way to engage
growth.
People who are not able to attend
live in
right.
person right away.
Take some of their questions, tell them what's going on.
They can engage.
The people who are here, they're not going to be.
And we found that people came from around the world to be at the Muslim Bitcoin Summit because we've been able to foster that community. ICNA has that community, and if it can nurture it continuously, can grow it to be international level conference.
There's a physical gathering; it can only be at one place.
I know, but you can build a synergy where
that's what I'm saying. We could leverage online aspect of it, social media, to foster that.
Yeah, and grow our audience, grow our message, grow our reach, grow our influence, grow our
And it could be.
And I'd be happy to be the live stream host. It's my idea. I get to do it.
No, you get to do it, but you get to put it together.
Yeah, I'll put it together.
That's the thing,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
if you talk to the YM people, when I take it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm down to do that next time. But tell me, you are, mashallah, big time, not only in ICNA, but tell me about work. You're a father, you work hard, and you're part of the Islamic movement. How do you balance those things?
I think, work, I work full time. And then this takes the first, 2 quarters, or at least the second quarter is all convention, roughly, somewhere there. But yeah, I think it's tough, it's challenging. What really helps is having your parents, your wife, all on the same page, what you're doing. Like everything, there's negotiations, right?
I'm good at negotiating.
Yeah. So, you give some, you take some.
That's why I gave you 4 sessions, because I knew you would give me 2 only.
Dialforlaw.com. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured? Dial for law. Hurt at work? Dial for law. Arrested? Dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. Dialforlaw.com.
Honestly, I think it's more of like you have to kind of the sacrifice comes from self, really. That's how I see it, because I work, come home, spend time with my family. they're asleep, then I start the convention. So the sacrifice primarily is your sleep, your
Yeah.
energy, right?
How, but as a father, you see that every second that you're not spending with your child is time away, right? So you want to
It is.
maximize the value of that time.
It is.
And like, how are
I
you?
mean, that's what I do, right? I mean, I come home from work, especially in these days. Pick my son up from his grandparents' house, and I go out for a walk with him, be in their backyard in the swing set, play, run around, do our thing.
While the weather in Michigan is still nice.
It got better now, yes, exactly. So do that. But now that he's running, kicking a ball, and all that stuff, so now he's more interactive. So it kind of worked out. That's what I do. Then feed him, sit with dinner, have dinner, and then to take.
Right before you came on, I had Azim on and Abdullah Bey, and we were trying to figure. I told them I didn't really have intention with this recording podcast series. I just went to go out there and was so in love with it that I felt like I had to share those videos. But now I kind of maybe I've become a YouTuber, and maybe as I was talking to them, maybe this thing is just conversations with alumni and MGAs and people who are in the movement to try to understand what drives your effort in the movement.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
honestly, like
why
family
are
is a
you
big
so
part of it, right? I mean,
why do
even
you believe so heavily in the Islamic movement?
why do I believe? Talking about the family stuff, Surah Kahf mentioned about the story, right? About the orphan. Uh, Prophet Khidr goes and helps him, right? And the Quran mentions وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا, that because the child's father, was a righteous person,
Subhanallah.
right? So I think some of these things, especially with kids, you could do everything you want, and your kids may not get the hidayah from Allah, or you could do nothing, and you could still get it, right? So I think the most powerful thing, presence is there, mentorship is there, but dua is very powerful, right? And more powerful than dua is actually putting it into practical application of your time and efforts towards the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So I think there is mercy, there's benefit, there's barakah in it. That does not mean you neglect them, right? That does not mean that's I think a challenge I personally feel with coming from an Ikna family, that a lot of the generation before us, they the kids suffered, especially those that moved overseas, like my family, right? I mean, that moved away from Pakistan or wherever they came from, because at least there you had relatives, extended family friends, right? But when we moved here, or a lot of people that moved out, and they don't have that family huge setup here, if the dad's gone, mom's home with the kids, and the kids then start resenting the dad. Why isn't he at the dinner table? So there's some things
I find that a challenge myself.
Yeah.
Because I have two young kids and I'm not home right now. I am here, and my wife and kids didn't come because of a family wedding, so it's not like that. But I do treat ICNA kind of like work to some degree. Like
that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of you work very hard. You have your own business, right? I mean, you've had long days and late nights, and so that's it's people do that all the time,
yeah,
right? If not for Islamic work, Islamic movement, they do it for their work,
yeah.
right? Now, some people may need it, right? Because that's just the situation they're in, and Allah, grant them
Yeah.
more, reward them with more. But some people do it because they're ambitious, because um, they have like ideas, they want to grow and have a successful life. But I think that's where the balance comes in. Like I have had so many things in my mind, like I want to do this, I want to do that, like from like little things that you can start, so side hustles, or try something out, take some risks. But the reality is I don't have time. And then when I think about it, well, I do have time. It's just spent in this work. So is that time well spent? Alhamdulillah, I mean, with my job, I'm comfortable, right? So, I mean, that's really what it is. And
I think if we could somehow pass the importance of the movement to our kids, then I will have seen it as worth it.
You know, some of the movement elders that I've met with, some from here, some from Pakistan. One of those guys, the brothers that I was sitting with, we were having dinner somewhere, lunch somewhere, and he was like, the happiest moment of my life was when my son took the oath,
SubhanAllah.
because that meant that whatever I felt sacrificing my life and time for, my son feels the same way. So yeah, it's not easy, but I mean, another
No, that's
thing to
part of
kind
the
of
reason I was telling Azim. That's part of the reason I've been making videos, and I'm now more open to putting myself on camera and recording videos. Is that I journal,
yeah,
I write,
yeah.
but I'm not sure if my kids will ever read my writings, and so I still write to them, but maybe video is the medium, but maybe in 20 years there's going to be AI that is just going to extract this and like
Maybe
give them
sound bites.
cliff notes or
Yeah,
something,
maybe.
you know.
I'm starting to
Yeah,
get calls from my family,
yeah,
so I gotta
yeah,
head
yeah.
out. But I'll leave with this. One of the things that we often forget is when we're reading the Sirah, the stories, we have kind of elevated those humans to a supernatural, you know, not human level, including the Prophet. He was the greatest man that walked here, but he was
A
an
human.
right? But if you look at the companions, right, all the companions, pick any one of them, and we romanticize them, right? And like, and rightfully so. But they also had the same limitations and capacities and the time and the family. And the other important stuff was is that we hear all these hadiths, them spending time with the Prophet. They also had work to do,
Yeah.
right?
They
They
also had
also had to farm.
businesses
They
and
were
farm.
traders, right? So it's not like 24 hours they were with the Prophet, but it feels like it, right? So I mean, think about what their day was like. It wasn't like they would just be, with the Prophet. And some of them were Abu Hurairah and all these guys. But Usman ibn Affan, I think he was the richest man in Medina just by doing nothing. He was hustling all day, but he was also with the Prophet. So like think about their 24 hours, how they spent it, and they had a family too. So
Yeah, and that's a good story to tell as we're kind of wrapping up the conference as a whole.
yeah,
And I kind of think about where this has gone. I've recorded 13 or 14 hours of content
wow.
in the past less than 48 hours. And I've also slept and went outside and done stuff.
Yeah,
So.
and I mean you could do it. And the more you do it, Allah put barakah in it. That's
And
really
it's just a simple process for now. Eventually, if it becomes something like, look, the live stream thing, if it
yeah.
can become something, I'm happy to help.
It always starts small.
And
If you
then
were,
we start something and make it happen.
I think it starts small. And same with like being active in Islamic work movement. You look at all these people that are putting in 20, 40, whatever amount of hours a week. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, when can I can't put that much. You should ask, can I put 1 hour?
Yeah.
And as you go, you build up that, muscle growth. That's what happens.
That's how when I talk about Bitcoin, that's how it works, right? Dollar cost average.
Yeah, there you go. Take care, man.
Take care. I appreciate you, bro. Excellent. Thank you for taking the time. Not everyone did, man. A lot of people, a lot of the alumni, they stood there, they refused. They were, I'll say this. I'll say this. I promise you, by next year, people will be dying to be on my show.
I pray. Make you
Love this.